Palau.
When I heard they were coming here this year, it was like, yes, finally.
Best diving in the world. I really think this is the best.
Unparalleled diving.
The diving is really spectacular, and visually it's one of the most gorgeous places in the world.
Palau is the picture postcard you would expect.
Just beautiful. It was just incredible, really spectacular.
You see it in magazines, but then to come here and it lives up to that expectation.
Because there's just nothing like it.
Probably even more spectacular than I had even imagined.
Because this is paradise for sure.
In March of 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic halted most international travel. That summer, this was the scene at LAX. Normally jammed with travelers, terminals eerily empty. A year later, restrictions relaxed. For the first time in nearly 2 years, it was an opportunity for our dive group to travel again. The destination, the islands of Palau.
Of all the places, this would be where you'd want to go after you've been for 2 years in the house.
A picture postcard setting in the South Pacific, north of Australia, east of the Philippines, it's one of the top dive spots in the world.
It's a long trip.
Each diver was COVID tested before leaving home.
Because the stakes were pretty high.
And we knew that we had to take another test upon our entry to the country there.
If any of us turned up positive, it would mean that everybody would have to go into quarantine.
30 hours.
It is a difficult commute, to say the least.
2 layovers. 8 time zones. And nearly 7,000 miles later.
When we entered the country at the airport, they did a nasal swab and we were tested.
Do you imagine, spending the first 5 days in on a ward together in the hospital? We'd be very sad.
At 2 a.m. Palau time, the last of the results came in. All divers tested negative. And our dive trip of a lifetime could begin.
Just gorgeous. Opened the curtains, we had a beautiful view outside of our balcony towards the marina.
Palau. It's Palau.
What's not to like?
What's not to like, absolutely.
Every day I was trying you gotta savor every freaking minute that we're here.
It's the travel to the dive sites. The boats go at full speed through the rock islands.
The boats, I love the boats in Palau. They go fast, they go a long ways. We probably went routinely 25 or 30 miles away.
Every trip is spectacular.
The captain, I think, makes it exciting by skirting close to the islands.
And in all the times I've been here, never gotten bored with that.
So German Channel is a channel
It's made by the Germans.
that's made by the Germans, actually, during World War II. No, during World War I, they opened up that channel to get ships through, even though you would think with German Channel would be World War II, it was World War I, but then the Japanese used it in World War II.
I didn't know what to expect. I was actually just following people, and when we went to the German Channel, the cleaning station, it's like, okay, we're gonna go down here, oh, we're gonna go down into the sand, and then suddenly the show began.
We were all in the middle of the water column, and the mantas were swimming all around us.
Spectacular.
I've not done a manta dive like that before.
And this trip was the best German Channel dive of any trip.
To me, the mantas are angels.
There's just something about the mantas when they come up. It just brings tears to my eyes.
We saw about 17 or so of them hovering above and swimming above, cleaning and feeding. That was just such a high I'll never forget.
Knees in the sand and just watch the show overhead.
To see a manta with a wingspan of 10, 12 feet?
And
VW
more.
size. That's the way I like to describe them. A few people were looking one direction and the manta was coming from behind them. Trying to point to them, to turn around, you're going to see this amazing manta pass over you.
I start to get close to one, but then another one comes in from behind. It's like a 747 going over my head.
To watch their expression when they did turn around and see this amazing thing just glide over them.
It took off, and then lo and behold, another one comes up.
You know, the first one was spectacular. The second one was even more spectacular.
Beautiful, absolutely awesome.
That was a really spectacular dive. That was like the dream dive where you get everything you ever wanted to see on a dive.
It was like a show. It was magical.
This is, I think, the first time I ever done a shipwreck that really had some history, like real, like ominous history behind it.
Ship is the Iro, which was a Japanese ship sunk in World War II.
It was a ship that actually transported parts to Japan for the planes that then bombed Pearl Harbor. And then it was turned into a supply ship in the war and was supplying oil. And so it wasn't really a tanker, but it was turned into a supply ship.
The U.S. targeted that ship to eliminate it as quickly as possible. It sunk down.
So only the bow was
so only the
sticking
bow,
out.
and it burned for 2 weeks apparently.
Yeah.
And it was outfitted with guns on either end.
To know that this ship participated in the bombing of Pearl Harbor was very moving.
So it's been there long enough to have become an artificial reef.
Just teeming with life, just really thick on there.
All of the life that was attached to it seemed so surreal and ghost-like.
I was blown away about how beautiful and the variety of coral, how something so beautiful has happened on something that was so tragic.
People lost their lives in that ship.
When 90 people died on this ship, you start to wonder what lives they had.
Seeing the gun barrel like made it real. But also like when I saw the ladders and the steps that were covered in coral now, but I was just kind of picturing back in my mind the Japanese soldiers were climbing up and down, you know, just kind of imagining that, you know, these were real people.
For a moment there, I just stood still and wanted to listen.
Very sort
Crazy.
of eerie, and then when you think about the history, almost surreal.
But out of that comes all this wonderful life.